I stand in my wedding dress, fingers trembling against the painted wood of the garden door, peering through the crack at the rows of white chairs arranged on the emerald lawn. My heart sinks as my gaze fixes on the 2 empty seats in the front row, adorned with satin ribbons and small bouquets of lilies. The seats where my parents should be sitting right now. Behind me, I hear the rustle of guests shifting in their chairs, the low murmur of whispers spreading like ripples in still water. Where are her parents? Did something happen? I thought they were just running late. The string quartet finishes their piece, the final notes hanging in the air like a question left unanswered. I close my eyes, willing the tears not to fall. Not now. Not after I spent 40 minutes on this makeup. Leah. Evan's voice, soft and steady, pulls me back from the edge of despair. I turn to find him standing there in his charcoal suit, blue eyes filled with a mixture of concern and anger that he's trying to mask for my sake. He takes my hand, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my skin. They're not coming, are they? I force a smile, feeling it crack at the edges. Let's not keep everyone waiting. The realization doesn't surprise me as much as it should. Hadn't I spent a lifetime chasing after their approval? Always second place to Morgan and her perfect face splashed across magazine pages. I remember being 16, bringing home the news of winning the state computer science competition. My father had glanced up from his newspaper, nodded, and said, "That's nice, sweetheart." In the next breath, he'd called out to my mother, "Carol, did you see Morgan's new Vogue feature?" They put it above the fireplace. My gaze had followed his to the gleaming frame showcasing my sister's perfect smile, while my certificate ended up in a drawer with all the others. Maybe if I'm perfect enough today, they'll finally see me. The thought comes unbidden, the same desperate wish I've carried since childhood. Even now, on my wedding day, part of me still hopes they'll burst through the doors at the last minute with some reasonable explanation, but they won't, and I know it. Evan's father appears beside us, handsome in his suit with a boutonniere that matches the garden roses surrounding us. His eyes flick to the empty seats, then back to me, kind, but not pitying. "Everything's ready when you are," he says quietly. I nod, taking a deep breath as Evan squeezes my hand once, before slipping away to take his place at the altar. Mrs. Rhodes, my soon-to-be mother-in-law, glides over, adjusting a flower in my hair with gentle fingers. This woman who spent yesterday arranging every bloom herself, who coordinated with caterers while asking about my favorite desserts, who looked at me from the first day we met, as if I were someone worthy of her son. "You look beautiful, Leah," she whispers. "Truly beautiful." The string quartet begins the wedding march, and the garden doors swing open. All 120 guests rise to their feet, turning to watch as I begin my walk down the aisle alone. No father to give me away, no mother dabbing tears with a handkerchief. But there is Evan, waiting for me with a smile that has always made me feel found rather than lost. The ceremony passes in a blur until we're pronounced husband and wife, sealing our promises with a kiss as applause erupts around us. We turn to face our guests hand in hand, and for a moment, I almost forget the empty chairs. Until the reception begins. "Ladies and gentlemen," the DJ announces, "it's time for the father-daughter dance." The words hit me like a physical blow. I freeze, champagne glass halfway to my lips, as the spotlight sweeps the room, searching for a dance that won't happen. A crushing silence falls over the reception. I feel every eye on me, 100 expressions of sympathy I don't want. Then Evan's father steps forward, extending his hand toward me. "May I have this honor, Leah?" The kindness in his eyes nearly breaks me. I place my hand in his as he leads me to the center of the dance floor. As we begin to sway to the music, I catch glimpses of guests watching us, some wiping away tears, others smiling with approval. "Thank you," I whisper, blinking rapidly to keep my composure. "Family isn't always blood," he says simply, guiding me through a gentle turn. The reception continues. Cake is cut, toasts are made. I almost manage to lose myself in the celebration until I feel my phone vibrating in the hidden pocket of my wedding dress. I slip away to check it, finding 3 messages from Morgan. The most recent one reads, "Mom and Dad are devastated you didn't make sure they got invitations. How could you forget your own parents?" Something cold and hard forms in the pit of my stomach. I stare at the screen, reading the words over and over until they blur. They're lying. I sent their invitations myself, checked the tracking number, confirmed delivery. This is about their image, not my happiness. The realization washes over me with startling clarity. I silence my phone and slip it back into my pocket. When I return to the reception, I catch fragments of conversations as I pass by clusters of guests. Always about Morgan. My Aunt Marie is saying to my cousin, "Remember Leah's high school graduation? They left early because Morgan had that callback." Carol and Daniel care more about appearances than actual relationships. Someone else murmurs. Always have. Poor girl. Imagine not showing up to your daughter's wedding. I feel Evan's presence before I see him, his hand finding mine as if drawn by some invisible force. He doesn't ask what's wrong. He doesn't need to. Ready to get out of here? Ready, he asks, nodding toward the exit where our getaway car waits. I look around at the celebration, at his family, who welcomed me without question, at friends who showed up to witness our commitment, at the beautiful garden where I became Mrs. Rhodes despite the empty seats in the front row. Yes, I say, feeling something shift inside me, something like resolve. As we run through a shower of rose petals toward our future, I make a silent promise to myself. This is the last time I'll wait for people who never planned to show up. I'm standing in our Seattle apartment kitchen, staring at my phone. The honeymoon glow of 2 weeks in Maui has faded faster than my tan. 3 weeks of silence from my parents after our wedding, and I've finally worked up the courage to call them. You forgot to invite us. Mom's voice is cold, accusatory. We never got the invitation, Leah. My hand trembles as I open my laptop. That's not true. I sent both email and physical invitations. I have the receipts. Don't be dramatic, she says, the familiar dismissal cutting deeper than it should after 32 years of practice. I pull up the email confirmation. I'm looking at the receipt right now. The email was delivered and opened on March 12th at 9:47 a.m. Dad even replied with, "Thanks for letting us know." A beat of silence. Well, sometimes these systems make mistakes. She hedges, and the tracking information shows the physical invitation was delivered to your mailbox on March 10th. I have the confirmation number. Maybe we didn't feel welcome. Mom's voice shifts to wounded innocence so quickly I almost miss the manipulation. Almost. You know how busy we are with Morgan's career taking off again. Maybe you didn't make it clear how important it was. The realization hits me like a thunderclap. They're protecting their image, not our relationship. They chose to skip their eldest daughter's wedding and are now rewriting history to make it my fault. You're always so dramatic about everything. She continues into my silence. I have to go, I say quietly, ending the call before she can respond. I sit at our kitchen counter, scrolling through texts from the last few months. The patterns emerge with painful clarity now that I'm looking for them. Mom's guilt trips whenever I mention the wedding, Dad's vague excuses about checking calendars. The convenient silence as the date approached. Morgan's text the night before our wedding repeats in my mind. Make sure you take photos with Dad's side of the family. They're important connections for when I launch my lifestyle brand next year. Not a word about me. Not a single well wish for my marriage. My phone buzzes with a text from Morgan now. Mom is crying because of your phone call. Why do you always have to upset everyone? The message is followed by another. Some relatives are asking questions about the wedding. You need to tell them you forgot to send invitations to Mom and Dad. This family drama is the last thing I need with my wedding coming up. My fingers hover over the keyboard. Morgan's wedding. Of course, they couldn't attend mine because it would make Morgan's eventual wedding less special. Her fiancé proposed last month, their engagement announcement, carefully timed for after my honeymoon. Dad's email arrives next. Your mother is very hurt by your accusations. Family loyalty means supporting each other, not attacking. Think about how this affects Morgan's wedding plans. 3 antagonists, perfectly aligned against me. Mom with her guilt as a weapon, Morgan enforcing the family image, and Dad backing them both while pretending to be the reasonable one. I look around our apartment, at the wedding photos we've just hung on the walls. Evan and I laughing with his parents, dancing with his father, cutting cake, surrounded by friends. Joy radiates from every image, but there's an emptiness too, the conspicuous absence of my side of the family. For 32 years, I've been chasing approval that was never coming. Tears stream down my face as I stare at one particular photo me in my wedding dress, looking over my shoulder with a smile that tried so hard to mask heartbreak. I don't hear Evan come in, only become aware of his presence when he kneels beside my chair, his hand warm on my knee. What do you need? He asks simply, his blue eyes filled with concern. The clarity of his question breaks something open inside me. Not what's wrong, or why are you crying, but what do you need? As if my needs matter. I need to stop pretending they care about my happiness, I say, my voice steadier than I expected. He nods. No platitudes, no attempts to solve or dismiss. Just presence. I wipe my eyes and open a new document on my laptop. I'm making a record of everything. The invitation receipts, the tracking numbers, the text messages, the emails, all of it. Date. Line by line, I create a timeline of communication attempts before the wedding. Each call logged, each message saved, each response documented. The evidence forms an undeniable pattern of deliberate avoidance followed by calculated gaslighting. What will you do with it? Evan asks, bringing me a cup of tea. I'm going to tell the truth. I take a deep breath. Not angrily, just clearly. I compose the email carefully, attaching the relevant evidence without commentary. My message is simple. Mom and Dad, I have attached documentation showing that you received both electronic and physical invitations to our wedding. You chose not to come. I won't participate in pretending otherwise. This isn't about blame, it's about acknowledging reality so we can move forward honestly, if that's what you want. Leah. I hit send before doubt can creep in. My phone rings 10 minutes later, not my parents, but Mrs. Rhodes. I saw what you wrote to them, she says without preamble. Morgan copied me, thinking I'd be horrified by your attack on family. My stomach drops. Mrs. Rhodes. I'm proud of you, she interrupts gently. Standing up for yourself isn't attacking anyone. It's about time someone in that family valued truth over appearances. Warmth blooms in my chest at her words. Evan sits beside me on the couch, his shoulder against mine. Your truth matters more than their comfort, he says quietly. I lean into him, feeling the weight lifting from my shoulders. The next day, at the software firm, a coworker comments that I seem different, more focused, more present. I realize I haven't checked my phone for messages from my parents all morning. It's a small victory, this freedom from constantly seeking parental approval. But as I walk back to my desk, head high, it feels monumental. For the first time, I'm not waiting for people who never planned to show up. 3 days later, my phone buzzes for the third time in an hour. I know exactly who it is without looking, but I glance down anyway, confirming my suspicion. Morgan, you can't ruin my wedding just because you're insecure. Mom and Dad are heartbroken. Fix this. I set my phone face down on my desk, breathing deeply as I try to focus on the code in front of me. The familiar rhythm of programming usually soothes me, but not today. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling slightly before I force them back to work. Everything okay? My coworker glances over, concern etched on her face. Family stuff, I say, the words sounding hollow even to my own ears. My phone lights up again. Not Morgan this time, but my Aunt Marie. Leah, honey, your mother called me in tears. She says you're refusing to admit you forgot their invitation. Can't you just apologize for the mix-up? I close my eyes, picturing my mother on the phone, voice quavering with practiced emotion as she spins her narrative to every relative who will listen. The image burns behind my eyelids. When I get home, Evan is already there, his face darkening as he sees my expression. Your dad sent me an email, he says, turning his laptop toward me. Apparently, I need to understand the importance of family loyalty. I read Daniel's message, each word dripping with calculated guilt. As Leah's husband, you should help her see reason. Family is all we have in this world. Her behavior is causing your mother-in-law immense pain. They've been calling everyone, I say, sinking onto our couch. 3 different cousins left messages today. Even my high school friend Sarah somehow got dragged into this. Evan sits beside me, his warmth a contrast to the cold knot forming in my stomach. They're escalating because you're not playing along anymore. My phone buzzes again. Unknown number. Leah, it's Morgan. Since you blocked me, I had to use Ryan's phone. Stop being childish. I hang up without responding, but the calls continue. Different numbers each time. Always Morgan's voice when I answer. I finally turn my phone off entirely, the silence a momentary relief. You know what's strange? I say later that night as Evan and I eat takeout at our kitchen counter. I keep waiting to feel guilty, but instead I just feel calm, like I finally see them clearly. Evan nods, considering this. What changed? The question makes me pause, fork halfway to my lips. I think it's knowing I have options they can't take away. I gesture around our apartment. My job pays $96,000 a year. I have proof they're lying. I have you. For the first time, I don't need their approval to survive. When my phone powers back on in the morning, there are 17 new messages. One catches my eye immediately. From Evan. Check your email. Morgan texted me. The message she sent him makes my blood boil. You should help Leah behave better. Networking with successful family could benefit your career. Evan's response appears below it. I only care about Leah's happiness, not her networking value. Pride swells in my chest, momentarily displacing the anger. This man who sees me as a person, not a pawn, who defends my worth without hesitation. Morgan's replies become increasingly frantic. This is ridiculous. She's tearing apart the family. Our mother is devastated. Your loyalty should be to family harmony, not enabling her tantrums. After the fifth message, there's a final one from Evan. We're blocking this number. Don't contact us again. I blocked her, Evan says when I look up from my phone. I hope that's okay. More than okay, I say, feeling a weight lift from my shoulders. It's perfect. That evening, Evan's mother calls. My stomach tightens automatically, expecting more pressure. Leah, honey, I got the strangest text from your sister, Mrs. Rhodes' voice is calm but concerned. Something about your psychological instability? I'm forwarding it to you now. The screenshot arrives with Mrs. Rhodes' commentary. Garbage. You and Evan come over for my meatloaf tonight. Dinner at the Rhodes house feels like stepping into another dimension. No walking on eggshells, no veiled criticisms or competitions. Just easy conversation, genuine interest in our lives, and enough meatloaf to feed an army. More potatoes, Leah? Mr. Rhodes passes the bowl before I even ask. I heard you got that new project at work. The security system design, right? The simple acknowledgement of my career, something my parents never managed, brings an unexpected lump to my throat. Tell us more about it, Mrs. Rhodes encourages, refilling my water glass. Evan says you're leading the team now. As I explain the project, they listen attentively, asking thoughtful questions. No one changes the subject to talk about someone more important. No one checks their watch impatiently. They treat me like I matter. Is this what family is supposed to feel like? 2 days later, my phone rings with my Aunt Marie's number. Leah, I wanted to talk to you about Morgan's wedding. Your mother says you deliberately excluded them from yours, and now you're refusing to attend Morgan's out of spite. I take a deep breath. Aunt Marie, I have the invitation receipts. Would you like to see them? Silence stretches across the line. What receipts? Email confirmation they opened the digital invitation. Postal tracking showing delivery of the paper invitation. Text messages where I confirmed they received it. My voice remains steady as I attach the files to an email. I'm sending them now. The sharp intake of breath tells me she's looking at them. Oh, Leah, they told everyone you forgot. They chose not to come, Aunt Marie. Just like they've been choosing Morgan over me my entire life. More silence, then. I'll be damned, Carol swore to me. I believe you, Leah. I'm so sorry. That night, I create a group message, including every family member who's contacted me about this situation. I attach all the evidence, delivery confirmations, opened email receipts, text exchanges, without comment. Within hours, my phone explodes with responses. I had no idea, Leah. Your mother told us a completely different story. We won't be attending Morgan's wedding after all. Carol and Daniel owe you an apology. I sit on our balcony, watching Seattle's lights shimmer across the water as the messages continue to arrive. Evan joins me, placing a warm mug of tea in my hands. You okay? I look at my phone as another text arrives. Morgan, somehow using yet another number. What have you done? 3 aunts and Uncle Jim just canceled. Mom is hysterical. For the first time since our wedding day, I feel a smile spreading across my face. Not from happiness, but from something else. Liberation, perhaps. The knowledge that truth is finally breaking through decades of carefully crafted lies. I didn't do anything, I tell Evan, leaning against his shoulder. except stop pretending. On my screen, another notification appears. Morgan's wedding has been postponed due to venue issues. I don't need to be a software engineer to decode that particular error message. I take a sip of tea and watch as my parents' carefully constructed image collapses like a house of cards, all without my lifting a finger. My phone buzzes for the third time this morning. I watch the screen light up with Morgan's name, then darken again as I leave it untouched on my desk. The Seattle rain taps against my office window, a gentle percussion that drowns out the humming of computers around me. 3 months have passed since I sent that email with the invitation receipts to my entire family. 3 months of carefully chosen silence. Leah? My supervisor appears at my cubicle entrance, holding a manila folder. The Henderson project proposal looks excellent. The executive team was impressed with your solutions for the security vulnerabilities. I smile, feeling a quiet satisfaction spread through me. Thanks, Jared. I wanted to make sure we addressed all the possible weak points before implementation. Well, it paid off. They're giving you lead developer on the next phase. He places the folder on my desk, plus a 15% bump in compensation. Congratulations. As he walks away, I open the folder to find the official offer letter, the promotion I've been working toward for 18 months. My fingers trace over the salary figure, $110,400. More than the validation, I appreciate the timing. Proof that stepping away from family drama has allowed me to focus on what actually builds my life, rather than what drains it. My phone buzzes again. This time it's Evan. Dinner with Jake and Sarah tonight? They found a new hiking trail near Snoqualmie they want to tell us about. I type back quickly. Perfect. I got the promotion. His response appears instantly. Never doubted it for a second. Celebration dinner it is. The contrast isn't lost on me. How some people celebrate your success while others demand your attention only when it serves their narrative. I silence Morgan's next incoming call without a second thought. Later that evening, as we share a bottle of wine with our friends and plan weekend hikes, I realize something has shifted inside me. The constant ache of parental disappointment has dulled to background noise. In its place, coding challenges, mountain trails, dinner conversations, Evan's laugh across the table. Peace built not from forgiveness, but from choosing where my energy belongs. The next morning brings an unwelcome surprise. My office phone rings, an extension I rarely use. Software development, this is Leah Rhodes. Leah? Thank God I finally reached you. My mother's voice sounds hollow through the phone line. Why haven't you been answering our calls? Your father and I have been worried sick. I straighten in my chair, eyes darting to my closed office door. I'm at work, Mom. I can't talk right now. Well, when can you talk? This has gone on long enough. Your sister's wedding is in 3 weeks, and there are serious problems with the guest list. Several relatives are declining because of this, situation you've created. The familiar weight of guilt tries to settle on my shoulders. I shrug it off. That's not my responsibility. Of course it is. You're tearing this family apart. Your father is absolutely devastated. Her voice cracks with practiced emotion. He sent you an email yesterday. Did you even read it? I hadn't. After seeing the subject line, family obligations and responsibilities, I'd filed it away with all the others. I'll read it later. I say, my voice steady. I need to get back to work now. You can't just... Goodbye, Mom. I hang up, surprised by how little her words affect me now. I check my company email instead, finding a message from Aunt Marie that makes me pause. Leah, I wanted to let you know Morgan's wedding has been postponed due to venue issues. The real reason. Half the guest list declined after learning what happened with your wedding. I'm one of them. I should have stood up for you years ago. I'm sorry it took me this long to see what was happening. If you're ever ready to talk, I'm here. Love, Aunt Marie. That evening, I bring it up during my therapy session, sitting on the blue couch across from Dr. Warner, who has been helping me navigate the fallout for the past 4 months. What does it mean that I feel nothing about their wedding troubles? I ask, staring at the small potted fern on her windowsill. Shouldn't I feel something? Vindication? Sadness? Anything? Dr. Warner watches me thoughtfully. What you're describing sounds like emotional detachment, a natural protection after years of having your feelings dismissed. Tell me what you've realized since we started these sessions. I think about this question carefully. I was never the problem, I say slowly. I was just inconvenient to their narrative. The quiet, practical daughter who didn't fit their perfect family image. Nothing I could have done would have changed that. And knowing that now? It's freeing, I admit. Like I've been carrying this weight, thinking if I just tried harder or was more perfect, they would finally see me. But that was never going to happen. Walking out of therapy, the spring evening wraps around me like a gentle embrace. I understand now that walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes it's the strongest response to those who refuse to see you as you are. The peace lasts exactly 16 days before my mother's tearful voicemail breaks the silence. Leah, please. You're breaking your father's heart with this behavior. Morgan had to postpone her wedding again. People are asking questions we can't answer. Call us back, sweetheart. We can work this out as a family. I delete the message and open my laptop instead, finding an email from Morgan. The subject line reads, "Wedding announcement photos," with several image attachments. Curiosity gets the better of me. The photos show Morgan and her fiancé in a garden setting with a stone path winding behind them, roses climbing trellises in soft focus. The composition, the lighting, even the color palette, all of it painfully familiar. They've recreated our wedding aesthetic, down to the smallest detail. Below the images, Morgan's message is brief. What do you think? Mom says these came out better than yours. I close the laptop without responding. 2 days later, a certified letter arrives from my father. The formal handwriting on the envelope speaks volumes before I even open it. Leah, your continued silence is unacceptable. As your father, I demand an explanation in person. Whatever imagined slight you believe we've committed doesn't justify tearing this family apart during what should be a joyful time. Your behavior has affected Morgan's special day significantly. The least you can do is meet with us to discuss your return to the family before more damage is done. Your mother and I expect to hear from you within the week. Dad. I fold the letter carefully and place it in the growing file of family communications I've been documenting, evidence of a lifetime pattern finally visible on paper. The last attempt comes a week before Morgan's rescheduled wedding date. A cream-colored envelope arrives containing a check for $2,000 and a note in Morgan's handwriting. For your dress and travel expenses, Mom and Dad will tell everyone you had scheduling conflicts before. Please just show up and smile for pictures. For the family image. M. I stare at the check, feeling a strange calm settle over me. They've finally shown their hand completely. My presence isn't valued, just the appearance of family unity they can display to others. That evening, I write a short note on my personal stationery and place it in an envelope with Morgan's uncashed check. My presence isn't for sale. Leah. As Evan drops the envelope in the mailbox, he squeezes my hand. You okay? Better than okay, I tell him, and mean it. The news spreads quickly through the family grapevine. Aunt Marie calls to tell me that Mom's sister finally confronted her about their treatment of me after years of silent enabling. Morgan's fiancé has been asking uncomfortable questions about family dynamics after witnessing her meltdown over my response. They're fighting among themselves now. Aunt Marie says, Carol is blaming Daniel for letting it get this far. Morgan is furious with both of them for ruining her wedding plans. It's like watching a house of cards collapse. Are you still going to the wedding? I ask. No, honey. Some things are more important than keeping up appearances. Her voice softens. I should have learned that a long time ago. As I hang up the phone, I feel no triumph, no satisfaction in their struggles. Just a quiet certainty that I'm exactly where I need to be, building a life where my worth isn't determined by how well I fit someone else's story. Morgan's wedding invitation sits on my kitchen counter, its gold-embossed lettering catching the morning light. 3 days until the big day, and the pressure has reached fever pitch. My phone buzzes with Carol's third message today. I tap it open reluctantly. Leah, please, just show up. We'll forget everything that happened. Morgan deserves her sister there. I place the phone face down, my jaw tightening. This follows yesterday's call from another aunt, who started our conversation with casual catch-up before inevitably steering toward, your mother asked me to talk to you. And the day before that, Daniel left a voicemail offering to walk both my daughters down the aisle as if that erased their absence from my own wedding. Even Morgan sent a text last week. Your absence would be cruel to everyone who loves us both. Don't punish the whole family. Cruel. As if I'm the villain in this story. The doorbell rings. I open it to find a courier with an envelope. The return address shows my father's law firm. Inside is a letter, formal and cold. Consider how family connections benefit your career. The tech industry values networking. Morgan's fiancé's family has connections that could help you advance. Burning bridges now could have long-term consequences. The threat isn't subtle. I crumple the paper, tossing it in the recycling bin. My laptop pings with an email notification from Morgan. The subject line reads, "My side of the story." The preview shows the first line. I've drafted a post explaining why my sister abandoned our family, before I share it publicly. I slam the laptop shut, my heart hammering. When did they become so desperate? My phone buzzes again. A cousin I rarely speak to. Your mom says we need to choose sides. This is tearing everyone apart. An hour later, Carol herself calls. I answer, against my better judgment. Leah. Her voice is tight with forced calm. This has gone on long enough. Come to the wedding, or you're not part of this family anymore. The irony almost makes me laugh. When have I ever been treated like I was part of this family? She hangs up without responding. Later that evening, I find myself looking through old family photos. There's one from Morgan's 16th birthday she's center frame, blowing out candles while I stand at the edge, half cropped out. Another from my college graduation they left early because Morgan had a modeling callback, a pattern documented across decades. You okay? Evan asks, finding me surrounded by photo albums. Am I being too harsh? I ask, my voice small. He sits beside me, gently taking a photo from my hands. It shows my empty chairs at our wedding. They skipped our wedding, Leah. Actions have consequences. I nod slowly. I know. It's just, I've spent my whole life putting their feelings first. At the cost of your own dignity, he says softly. The truth of his words resonates through me. Every family holiday rearranged for Morgan's schedule. Every achievement of mine minimized to avoid overshadowing hers. Every criticism I swallowed to keep peace. My comfort always came at the cost of my dignity. I close the albums and reach for my laptop. For hours, I work methodically, compiling everything. The wedding invitation receipt, showing delivery confirmation, screenshots of the 14 attempts to contact them before our wedding, their subsequent gaslighting claiming they never received an invitation. By midnight, I have a complete timeline of events, factual and unemotional. I draft an email to the entire family. No accusations, no anger, just documented truth. To my extended family, there seems to be confusion about my absence from Morgan's wedding. I've attached documentation of what transpired regarding my own wedding. Attached you'll find postal tracking confirmation of my parents' wedding invitation delivery. Email receipt showing they opened the digital invitation. Screenshot records of my 14 attempts to contact them before the wedding. Their subsequent claims that they never received an invitation. I will not be attending Morgan's wedding. This isn't about punishment or cruelty. It's about consequences for choices made. I wish Morgan a beautiful wedding day. My absence is the consequence of choices made 8 months ago. Sincerely, Leah Rhodes. I press send before doubt can creep in. What do you want to do on Morgan's wedding day? Evan asks when I tell him. I smile for the first time in days. Let's hike Olympic National Park. I've always wanted to see it. On the wedding day, while we're standing atop Hurricane Ridge, with the mountains sprawled before us, my new phone pings. I've given the number only to Evan's family and a few trusted friends. It's a message from Carol's sister with a photo attachment. Morgan's wedding, the reception half empty, family members conspicuously absent. Your mother is furious. Half the family didn't show up. They're saying they never got invitations. Sound familiar? I should feel vindication, but all I feel is relief. Relief that the truth is finally visible to everyone. More messages trickle in over the next few days. Relatives apologizing for believing my parents' version of events. My cousin sending screenshots of heated family group chat arguments about Carol and Daniel's behavior. The family narrative is permanently altered. I'm no longer carrying the burden of their false image alone. A week after her honeymoon, Morgan calls from an unknown number. How could you? She demands when I answer. You've turned everyone against us. I didn't turn anyone against you, I reply, my voice calm. I simply showed them the truth. You can't ruin my wedding and expect me at yours. The irony of her words hangs between us. That's exactly what you and our parents did to me, Morgan. It's different, she shouts, her voice cracking. They always loved me more. Why is everyone taking your side now? Her words confirm what I've always known but never heard spoken aloud. This isn't about sides, I say softly. It's about truth. I'm free of needing their approval. Are you? The line goes silent for a long moment before she hangs up. I look out my apartment window at the Seattle skyline, feeling a weight lift that I've carried for 32 years. The truth has finally set me free. Almost 2 years after the wedding, I cradle my 6-month-old son against my chest, his warm weight more comforting than any therapy session. His steady breathing has become my favorite sound in the world. The late afternoon sun filters through the windows of our Olympia home, casting golden light across the living room floor where Evan sits cross-legged, sorting through photos for the baby album. Look at this one, he says, holding up a picture of Mrs. Rhodes, the only grandmother my son will ever know, cradling him the day we brought him home. Her eyes shine with the same unconditional love she's shown me since the first time we met. I run my finger over my son's downy hair. She's coming over tomorrow, right? Wouldn't miss it for anything, Evan replies. Said she's bringing that apple pie you've been craving. Our walls hold no portraits of Carol or Daniel, no evidence of Morgan's perfect smile. Instead, they showcase the family we've chosen. Evan's parents, my support group friends, co-workers who became confidants. People who show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. My phone buzzes against the side table. I shift the baby slightly to reach for it, expecting a message from work about the software update we launched yesterday. Instead, an unknown number flashes on the screen with a text that makes my stomach clench for just a moment before the feeling dissolves like sugar in water. Leah, I know you had a son. You cannot be this cruel. You cannot keep a grandchild from his grandmother. This is wrong. Call me Carol. 2 years ago, these words would have devastated me, sent me spiraling into guilt and second-guessing. I would have read this message a dozen times, crafting careful responses in my head, measuring each word against the inevitable disappointment that would follow. Now, I feel nothing but a calm certainty. Your mother? Evan asks, recognizing something in my expression. He doesn't need to specify which mother. Using my cousin's phone, I confirm, turning the screen so he can see. Same tactics. The same language that once held such power over me. You cannot, you should not, you must, now reads as hollow as a script from a bad play. My worth is no longer tied to their approval, my happiness no longer hostage to their validation. My therapist called it emotional neglect when I first described my childhood. Those sessions helped me understand the conditional love that always felt just out of reach, always tied to someone else's definition of success. The support group introduced me to others with similar stories, different details, same wounds who showed me I wasn't alone. But it was building this life with Evan that finally showed me what family should be. The way he validates my experiences without question. The way his steady presence anchors me when old doubts surface. Jessica from accounting pulled me aside yesterday. I tell Evan, shifting our son to my shoulder as he stirs. Her parents are trying to manipulate her into moving back home. What did you say? Evan asks, setting aside the photos. That you can love someone and still need distance. That sometimes boundaries aren't about punishment, they're about protection. The words felt natural coming out, stripped of the bitterness that might have colored them before. I've found meaning in helping others navigate what I've survived, paying forward the support that carried me through. I look down at my son, his tiny features relaxed in sleep, and see what unconditional love truly looks like. Not a transaction, not a performance, but a gift freely given, without expectation of return. My thumb hovers over the block button for only a second before pressing it. No hesitation, no guilt, no need to explain or justify my boundaries. I set the phone down and press my lips to my son's forehead, breathing in his sweet scent. When I look up, Evan is watching me, his eyes reflecting the same peaceful certainty I feel. He doesn't ask if I'm sure, doesn't need me to explain. He simply smiles, a smile that communicates volumes without a single word passing between us. Our son nestles between us, protected from patterns we've both vowed to break. This is what family means now, defined by love rather than obligation, by choice rather than blood. And in that redefinition, I've found a freedom I never knew existed.